Hey guys, this is Lance from Bennington Leather, and I just wanted to answer. I saw a bunch of comments about why do you want to sand one direction on leather, and a lot of people couldn't figure out why sand one direction. So if you have a belt sander, which I have one. I have a belt sander, a drum sander that I'll show you. That's good for bulk removal and shaping the leather if you need to. And it's also good for getting the fibers going one direction. And that's why you sand one direction, to get all the fibers going one direction and to lay down as smooth as you can. So, I use 600 and I use like a 260 to really get things going, and then I'll move to 600, and I even keep 1500 if you really want to get that edge as glassy as you possibly can. You don't need a belt sander to do that, or any special tool. All you need is a little sandpaper. So I'm just gonna start going one direction and getting those fibers going one way, right? And you can already see, in comparison to the other side, that this is already starting to lay down a little bit better. I barely touched it, but yeah, you start getting those fibers laying down, and then once the sandpaper really isn't changing the leather much anymore, you move to a lighter grit and start refining those fibers even more and laying those fibers down one direction. And people say that you can't burnish the edge of pull-up leather, or soft leathers, but that's totally not true. You can burnish pull-up leather. This is pull-up Badalassi pull-up, and it has a glassy glass edge on it. And I just used sandpaper. I did use my drum sander to get it where I wanted it, but then you start working that edge down with your fine sandpaper, one direction. It's a little monotonous, but the outcome is awesome. And of course, you're gonna have to bevel the edges and fix all that once you're done, and you need to do a little sanding after that, of course, to round the edges, but that's normal everyday stuff. And so I'm already at a spot here where the camera will pick it up. See how rough this is on this side, and see over here I'm already getting pretty smooth. Now, you don't need to get it. I could grab the 1500 and get this down to where it looked almost, it looked nearly done. But with dye, you don't need Toconol. You don't need Toconol to burnish an edge. I could use the 1500 and get this edge looking nearly burnished without any water or anything on this veg tan. And I can do that on pull-up. I can do that you can do that, anybody can do it on any kind of leather. But if you just use dye and lay the dye down thick, and you rub on that dye before it sets up. So you want to hit the edge really hard with the dye. Not so hard that it bleeds through or, you know, anything crazy like that, but get the dye to where you got your coat on, and have a rag ready, have your canvas or whatever. You can use a cut up pair of jeans if you want, and get your dye good and set. Now I got it pretty good right here, and while it's still wet and setting up, get your rag or your anything you got and burnish it while it's still wet and setting up. And the oils and the alcohol, the spirits in that dye will actually burnish. I wish the camera would help me out here. If you can see that, it's already getting glassy, and I did not prep that edge at all. I wish this camera would help out, right? There you go. So it's already getting a decent glass to it. So after the first pass of dye and after you sanded it, just go back with your 600 or 15, whatever you want to do, and hit it the same direction and get the whole spot, and then any little problem spots that you might see that are still a little rough, and just get those fibers where you want them, going one direction. See, I'm already seeing while I'm sanding, it's going smooth and glassing right now. I'll show you. But on the second pass, you'll see the difference when I run the dye again. So you do one more pass with the dye after you've beveled your edges, sanded them. I'm not going to do that now. This is just about slicking, but burnishing, call it what you want. After I do the second pass, the dye will set on the leather longer and not penetrate quite as fast. And that's good. That gives you a chance to really rub on it and get those oils and stuff in the dye rubbed in there. So just a little elbow grease. And a little dye. This is Phoebing's, just Phoebing's Pro dye. You can also use Phoebing's just oil dye. It really doesn't matter. They both work really well for this. But now I'm getting some real glass. If you can see that. I mean, it's shining, and I haven't put any treatment or anything on that, but just dye and a little elbow grease. So if we want to, though, I have a rag that I keep marked. I use a silver pen, and I do, 1 dot, 2 dot, so beeswax, toconol, like that. So let's put a little toconol on it and see what happens. So I've spent 5 minutes just refining this edge a little bit, not even 5 minutes. And you can do that on a big surface. If you're quick, you could lay down a lot of dye and burnish out a long section pretty quick. So there, I put a little toconol on that spot, and we'll rub that toconol into that and see what kind of glass we can get. Now that is as smooth. I mean, it's as smooth as it literally can be, honestly. It's so smooth. and I really wasn't trying that hard. It's not hard to do. Like I said, you can use a drum sander, and here, I'll take you to out to my shop, and 1 second. You can use a drum sander to do your bulk removal, and you can also use a drum sander like this, or you can use like a rotary sander like that. I like them both. They both have their own purposes, but you can get the leather on one side and get those fibers going one direction. But the problem with the belt sander is, because it's moving so fast, even if you turn it down slow, it's hard to control how fast it burnishes the leather. So that's why I prefer to do it by hand, because if you goof up and you overdo it, it will actually burn. It will burnish it, and then it'll burn it. And trying to catch it in between that spot is very difficult. And one thing that you really need to do while you're sanding is use a rubber remover. It removes all the remnants of what you were sanding on the sandpaper. So now the sandpaper is clean again. But I can show you also what happens if you over sand it. And you want to move it off where you see the material building up. You don't want to stay right there, because it will burn it like that. So this is a way to do it, but it's risky. And if you have a really nice piece you're working on and you burn that edge, you're going to have to work for 20 minutes to get that burnt leather off there, because it really sticks. It really sticks in there, and you have to sand it off, and it's just terrible. So the belt sander works for getting those fibers going one direction, but for my money, when I get to the end of my project, I'm gonna trust the sandpaper to get that glass going. And I could work that a ton more and get it as glassy as a glass. I mean, really. So anyway, and again, you can do it on pull-up leather. I can show you some tricks on how to get pull-up leather to cooperate with you. And also I can show you some stuff on what to use to condition the leather. And also, if you're looking for maybe a different tint on the leather, maybe you're wanting like a bit of a reddish tint to oil it without bothering it, and you can do that on any leather. Veg tan really likes oil, but you can do it on any type of leather. So I got some more videos coming up. This is just my first one. I just wanted to show you guys a little trick. Just dye and get your sanding going one direction, and you will have a glassy edge every time, and you don't have to worry about can I get it glassy, and will it look good. You can guarantee it. So go 600. This is what I do anyway, or like a 240, then a 600. Then if you really want to, you can hit it with a 15 and go to pure glass. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.